Well, welcome to Casting Points. We are glad that you are here with us today. Again, my name is Tim Bycroft, and behind the controls today we have Matthew Parker.
What up?
How you doing? And another amazing guest. Been waiting for this one. We had a lot of guests ahead of time. We were waiting, perfecting what we're doing to have this guest that we have with us today. Are you ready?
Yeah.
For none other than Shannon Hein.
Hey, guys. Excited to be here.
Glad that you're with us. So what's big on the Hein Christmas party stuff? What's going on with the Heinz Christmas this year?
Oh, I host every year. So I host cookies. Everybody comes over and we bake cookies with the kids. And then Christmas Eve, I have my whole family over. It's super fun. The ones that live close in town. And so that's what we're doing.
Nice.
I'm cooking. We're doing something a little different.
What are you having this year?
So I think I have officially convinced my husband to deep fry. We have a big deep fryer.
Oh, I can see where this is going.
And I want him to deep fry a rump roast.
Deep frying a rump roast.
Oh my gosh, it is so good. I've only had this once in my life.
Right.
That sounds like cardiac arrest.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
It's Christmas. So yeah, we're going to deep fry roast.
Awesome.
And then, of course, all the fixins.
Of course, I know your husband and how this could possibly go, so make sure that you have 911
On speed dial.
speed dial, right?
Right. I'm like, how many do you think we could fit in there? Because they're little, so we
So
have
I
to
was
do a
worried
couple.
about, Kevin. Now I'm kind of worried about you, actually. Like,
Fine.
don't worry
Yeah.
about it. Just plop them in there.
No. It'll be fine. It'll be great.
How big is your deep fryer?
It's big. It holds, I think he said like a 20-pound turkey.
Oh my goodness.
It's giant.
20 pound. Yeah, nice.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
And so it could go either way. Either it could be fantastic or total disaster. Either way, it'll be a Hein Christmas. So
I'm sure there'll be plenty of food, knowing your family.
yes. Oh,
there will
yes.
be plenty of food no
All
matter
kinds
what.
of food. Yep.
So,
Yep.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, Christmas presents. Do you let your family know what you want so that you get what you want? Matt, are you like this?
I do.
I never know what I want for Christmas, and so my wife will berate me for like 3 months, like a 3-month stint.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want for Christmas?
Right.
What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas? And usually I'm just like, and so I never really know what I'm gonna get for Christmas.
I'm a terrible gift buyer. I'll admit that. But I let them know what I want. I said this year I didn't want anything. I'm nothing. I want for nothing.
Yeah.
So I just want everybody happy. But I'm a terrible gift buyer. My husband will tell you that. Like the one year I was super excited about it. I got him a coin separator. Like you just put the coins in there and it separates them.
Well, that's handy anyway.
Right. It was a joke. It's
Yeah,
still
how
a
often
joke.
is he
This was
spending
like
cash?
15 years ago, and he's like, he was not happy. He was like, seriously.
This.
Like I thought it was a great idea.
Right. But if you don't give idea, and see, that's the problem,
It's
right?
really
Isn't
tough.
that the balance
Yeah.
of if you don't give people like really good hints or like, hey, this is what I want, you can't be picky.
No.
I mean, you just cannot be
Right.
picky. And I will tell you, I think that's the greatest stress for me during the holidays. It's not necessarily planning the parties or planning those kind of things. It's
The gifts.
the gifts.
The gifts.
Because if somebody doesn't leave you like a great hint, that's why I love the Amazon list,
Yeah,
Oh,
your
yeah.
wish
right?
list.
Yeah.
The wish list thing,
Yeah.
lifesaver.
Yes.
Lifesaver.
Yes. My kids, they're still sending me links. I'm like, Christmas is done.
Right.
Like,
We're
I'm
over.
done.
Stop
Like,
it.
Stop it. But I do love
Well,
that they
we're-
do that because then it's easy for me. It's just click the link, done.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, Christmas has driven me crazy this year because Rhonda and I were talking about it, and we kind of settled on let's not do Christmas for each other this year. Let's just focus on the kids. We'll figure something out in the new year. Maybe we'll go on a date. Maybe we'll do this. We've talked about going away, and I already know that she got me stuff.
Right.
I'm like, well, now I have to like pick up the slack.
That
like,
was me.
Figure out what to do.
Yeah.
That was me yesterday. I'm like, I thought we weren't getting each other gifts. And he had gotten me something. I'm like, no, this is cheating.
It
You're
is.
cheating.
It is. And I used to do that. I used to say, hey, let's not buy each other anything. And then I would buy my wife something. And what I found out was when I actually didn't buy her something and she did, that makes you feel really crappy.
Yeah. We just actually.
So we just stopped doing that.
We draw names for my family,
yeah.
for all the kids in the family. And we just had that exact conversation because I was like, let's just buy for everybody this year. Teasing. I was totally teasing. And my brother's like, no, we're not doing that. And I'm like, do you remember that year that we drew names and you walked in with presents for everybody? And I was poor and Bree was poor and we were mad.
Right.
Yeah, because there's a level of embarrassment. It's like because Christmas is so like it's almost a mystical event where everyone brings their. It's just an opportunity for a lot of families to show off how to flex their finance, you know. And
Right.
I think that for a lot of people, it becomes an insecurity.
Oh, I was just so upset, and I shouldn't have been. It's actually, if you think about it, like he was giving, like
Right.
he was doing
he
a
was
kind
he was
thing,
doing
and I got
something very
mad.
nice, and then we're ticked off all Christmas at each other.
Funny.
I guess better that than some of the other reasons we get ticked off at family during the holiday seasons. But
It can be-
hey, we're not going to go into that today.
Let's not talk about that today.
So Shannon,
Yeah,
you grew up in this area though, right? I mean,
I grew
we're
up.
in the Winter Harbor, but
I grew up all over the place, but I did a majority of my time was spent here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So where were other areas besides Winthrop Harbor? Where were other areas that you have lived?
I was born in Aurora, Colorado. From there, we moved to Germany. Sprechen die Deutsch.
Nice.
That's all I know.
For what purpose?
My dad was in the service.
Okay.
And so
Military brat.
Yeah. I'm a military brat. And then we went from Germany. I think we went back to Colorado and then we moved back to Zion, Winthrop Harbor area. I spent some time in Round Lake. I spent some time in Bolingbrook and Romeoville, Illinois. Yeah. All over.
So you've,
Yeah.
cruised the
I
world.
think I went to 4 different high schools. Yeah.
Wow.
3. 1, 2, 3. 3 different high schools. I lied. Oof. 3 different high schools. Yeah.
How did that play out? I mean, as far as like your friend base,
Yeah, because that stuff's tough.
that's gotta be tough.
It was.
That's gotta be tough.
Yeah, it was. I always went into the bad crowd. I think that's the easy thing to do when you're being moved around so much is you just fall into whatever crowd.
Mhm.
And so I always fell right into the bad crowd. So no good, but it's part of my story. So there you go.
The bad crowd.
I would call it the bad crowd. Not bad, just kids experiencing things they shouldn't.
Rowdy.
Yeah, bad.
The rowdy.
Bad kids.
we were the rowdy group.
Yeah.
Fun. So
Yeah.
you grew up in this area, and yet you moved around quite a bit, but you spent the most of your life in the Winthrop Harbor, Zion area.
Yeah.
Growing up, going to high school at 4 different high schools.
3.
3.
I lied when I said 4. I had to recount.
She was
3.
exaggerating a little bit.
I
You know,
did,
it's way
yeah.
cooler. Let's say with 4.
I'm having a hard time staying with this story right now.
All right. I'm sorry.
Numbers changing.
4, 3.
Anyway, so you moved around quite a bit, but you were staying in kind of this area, and then at what point did you meet this guy, this hunka burning love?
I met Kevin on November 19th.
Oh my.
Ooh.
Here we go again. Oh, I'm in so much trouble. November 19th of 99.
99.
Yeah.
Just babies.
Just babies. We were babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want that story?
I do want that story.
Oh, it's a fun story. Are you ready?
So ready.
Can I be brutally honest on this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Did you start out hating this guy? This was somebody that you just like, ooh.
No, actually not. So I was in prison. Yeah, no, this is it's a true story.
Maybe we should
Here
maybe we should back up before that.
like,
Get
what?
the thing before that, though.
So just let me tell my story, and then you can ask questions. I was in prison. I got out of prison in in November of 99.
Now, how old are you at this point?
I
In
was
99.
now 18.
18.
So I spent 9 months in prison. I went when I was 17
Okay.
and stayed until right after my 18th birthday. And I came home and I went to visit my dad who lived in Bolingbrook.
Mm-hmm.
And an old friend of mine came to see me. It was late at night. And even though I was 18, and just got out of prison, I still had a curfew with my dad. And so
That's not a bad thing. It doesn't sound like that's
right. I should have. There should have been rules.
Nice and preventative.
Yeah.
Yes. And so there was a tap at my bedroom window. It was my old friend, and Kevin was with him.
Mm.
And that was the first time we met. I was like, I can't come out and play. I'm in trouble. And so Kevin came back the next day with another mutual friend. Really weird. Kevin and I lived like 2 blocks away from each other for years. And
this is in Bowling Green.
In Bolingbrook.
Bolingbrook, yeah.
I had actually been to his house for parties,
Okay.
but had never met him or known him.
Yeah.
And so he came back the next day, and I was babysitting my baby brother and sister, and we were hanging out, and I was watching him interact with my baby brother and sister, and he left the house. And when he left the house, I looked at my sister. I said, I'm going to marry that man.
Wow.
And I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like you knew.
I knew. Yeah. I just
That's
knew.
crazy.
Yeah.
Some
It was fun.
some might say that was a little creepy, but you know,
I
what?
mean, yeah,
some might
but-
also say romantic. Sure.
Romantic,
Sure.
whatever. It was. I instantly fell in love with him.
Yeah.
Watching him with my baby brother and
Watching
sister.
him interacting with us. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. Now, did you have to initiate the proposal since you laid down the gauntlet? He is going to be my husband. Did you end up having to
No.
propose?
No, he proposed.
Yeah, good.
7 years later.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. No hurry.
No, we quickly had a baby. We were a mess. We weren't Christians. But yeah, no, we met November 19th. Oh, this is embarrassing. I got pregnant December 1st. And I will say my son was my saving grace
Yeah.
because I was going right back to where I had been.
Where you'd been,
So,
which obviously led to incarceration and many other life-altering situations. I'm
Yes.
guessing. Yeah. Right.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you've experienced a lot by the time you're
Yeah.
18, 19, going on 19.
Yeah.
Gonna have a baby.
Yep.
And having the baby kind of like slowed things down a little bit for you.
Big
Or made you think, right?
Big time.
Right?
Big time. I knew that I needed to change my life to give this child the life that I always wanted.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, huge. I mean, I wasn't fully changed, but I started making wiser choices.
Wiser choices.
Yeah.
Well, that comes with maturity too.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden the shock of, hey, now I have a life, which is good because a lot of people don't necessarily look at it that way. They just continue life the way it is. And then you have another life that's altered by terrible circumstances because they didn't take it serious. you
Yeah.
know? So, yeah, it's a good thing you did.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
thing Kevin Jr.
Yeah.
that you
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
did. That boy.
So that boy.
I love that boy.
I love that kid. He's something else.
He's
Lead
crazy.
better. You know, it helps make a good kid when you love them.
Yeah, it does. It does. He's amazing. He's been great. He definitely changed my life for the
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
at a young age. So
Yeah. So you said this was all happening, and before you said you were very specific. This was all before I was a Christian.
yeah.
So what led up to that?
I was
Because you and Kevin were together for what would you say, like 7 years before you got married?
7 years before we got married.
You got Kevin Jr. with you.
We have Kevin Jr. with us. We did marry in the church. That was important to me. So my whole life growing up, my grandma laid that foundation. So I knew that God was real. I knew all about Jesus. I prayed, I did all that, but I didn't have a relationship. And that did not happen until I was 26.
So your grandmother, you say your grandmother is
Yeah.
what really poured into you. So you never
Big
really
time.
went to church or any of those things. It was just grandma sharing with you about who God is and the story of God. And so
Praying, watching
you knew
her pray.
who he was.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah. Grandma was huge with that.
Even though you were moving around, sounds like you were moving so much, your grandma still had that kind of impact.
Oh,
which was
my grandparents growing up were phenomenal. Phenomenal. Huge inspirations in my life. My grandma was a Proverbs 31 woman.
Yeah.
All the way. I would just watch her pray. Every day my grandpa would walk out the door to go to work and she would stop what she was doing in the kitchen and she would pray for him in his day. And so yeah, she left a huge imprint.
Sure.
Sure. Not big enough to where I didn't jump right into it, but it took me years of growing up and realizing my worth because I struggled with that a ton. And so it was my late 20s. I went through a huge tragedy, lost someone very dear to me. And I then went to church after listening to the pastor speak at his service. I went to church and I just felt the Holy Spirit moving through me. Like there was no denying it. There was no me questioning, it was him. And from that moment on, I was like, I'm worthy. And I struggled with that for years.
So do you remember, I mean, you said that the Holy Spirit spoke to you and you knew it was God. I mean, it was undeniable God. What does God say to you? What is, I mean, in those moments, what does God say? Because I think a lot of people are like, man, I wish I had that moment. I wish I could have that moment where God spoke to me, where I knew so how did you know, number one, that it was him? And number two, what did he say?
Okay. So it was during a church service. It was an altar call where, anybody needing prayer or wanting to pray, come up, get on your knees and pray. And so I had super struggled with this loss. It was my cousin's son. He was young. He wasn't doing anything in his life that I hadn't done. So it was, why not me? Why him? And I was during the church service, I went up to the altar and I hit my knees and I was sobbing because that's all I had done for months. And it was peace, an overcoming, like the tears just stopped. I was filled with peace. I could relax. And all I heard was, be still. Just be still. I'm with you. And I was like, okay. That's what I'm going to do.
It's what you needed at the time.
It's what I needed at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
He spoke right to you. So God gets a hold of you at this point. How's that affect your life?
Huge. Not knowing your worth for so many years, not thinking that you were ever good enough or worthy enough for anything.
Where did that come from?
And then,
what did that stem from? Where did because that's pretty deep. Where you say you didn't know your worth or you didn't know what, where did the way you're stating that is there was situations or life that took place
a lot of
that
trauma
created that, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of trauma in my life. I witnessed evil for the first time I was barely 3 years old. I was sexually assaulted over and over at 3 years old. And then again at 15. My dad, who I love dearly and we're super close now, but there was addiction. And so he was separated from my life for years. So it was just the constant, nobody wants me. Nobody wants to be with me. Anybody that does want to be with me just wants to hurt me. Like I'm just doomed and not worth anything.
Oh. So robbed of so much.
Yeah.
At a young age.
Yeah.
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 And that just totally messes, again, and you said this several times now, messes with your self-worth.
Yep.
Yeah. messes with who you truly are.
Yeah.
And now you can say it in the eyes of God and in the eyes of other people.
Yeah.
Right, that really care.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just totally jades that.
Right. And not on, and I'm still trying to understand trauma and learn about it. But like I was at 26 years old, I was diagnosed with severe PTSD. And so that started to unwrap and explain a ton of stuff. Like there's triggers, one of my triggers is birds. I know that sounds crazy to people, but it's like, it does. And for 26 years, or well, not 26, it would have been 23 years. For 23 years, I just thought I was scared of birds.
Right.
So it was like a joke. I mean, if there were birds, I would jump through a car window. I don't care. Like, get me away from these birds. And then it all came to a head at 26 in counseling, where it was discovered that while my sexual abuser was abusing someone else close to me, he would send me outside to feed the birds. And then vice versa. Then I would go in the house and then she would go out of the house and feed the birds. And so once that was all put together, but it's like, do you know how many times you see birds in a day? And so like, if that's a trigger,
right.
So yeah,
debilitating. Yeah.
It's debilitating. Yeah. And it makes you just, when you have PTSD or depression or any of that stuff, it just makes you question everything, everything. But my worth for me was the biggest.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was worthy of God's love.
So what turned that around?
That day when I was on my knees and overwhelmed with peace. And I was like, he does love me.
Yeah.
He is here with me. Because I would hear other people say like how God talks to them and when the Holy Spirit moves through them. I didn't know what that looked like or meant, but I had also never hit my knees and said, God, I'm here. If you're here, please help me.
Right.
And in that, I'm telling you, it was in that instant, it was just a complete turnaround. I got baptized. I started to just run. Like there was no more sitting, no more crying all the time. Like I am running towards this.
In situations, and I'm not trying to put words into your mouth, but I'm trying to see if this is, when you've been through traumatic situations, PTSD, a lot of times that creates what we try to control everything around us, right? We're going to control the situation. We're not going to relinquish ourselves. We're not going to open ourselves up because there's a lot of potential hurt that comes from opening yourself up, right?
Right.
If I open myself up, I've got to trust whoever or whatever that I'm opening myself up to. And I think a lot of times it's easy to walk around, especially with you've been through trauma, you've got the PTSD, you've got the hurt, you've got the situations where you look at other people or the triggers and it's difficult to just open yourself up. And what I'm hearing from you is that's what it finally took.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to get to a point, maybe not with other people, but definitely with God. And this goes back to the question I started with, is there's probably people out there who say, I would love to hear from God. I would love to have that peace. I would love to sense his presence. I would love for God to speak to me. How does he speak to me? And if I hear you correctly, what you're saying is in your situation is that it took you trusting God just enough to open yourself up to him.
Yeah.
Surrender.
Yeah.
To give that over for him to be able to speak to you.
Yep.
I've been having this kind of ongoing conversation with a friend of mine who the other day said, I don't get church. Like to the point where he didn't understand why we did it. Like why would you do that? What's the point of gathering together? What's the point of singing the songs? What's the point of listening to somebody talk? He didn't get it. And he had been to churches before, but he still had this question. And your story is just evidence of one of the main reasons why we do it.
Yeah.
Is to cultivate this space where you can feel safe, but challenged in knowing that God is there and he does care. And that you can take active steps to giving him an ear and listening to him and giving him the opportunity to give you that peace because you're finally willing to receive. And I thought that, yeah, that was just the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, you know, when you stop and you think about why church, right? I mean, why church? I mean, I hope that churches, you know,
Keep it on brand.
I believe in this church because this is where we're at, and there's amazing churches all over the place, and I love the churches. I've talked about that before. Sometime
often.
we should just do a whole podcast on church because I love the church.
Keep that in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
But where I was leading with that is I think that's what the culture of the church should always be just striving for, is to create that space, right, where we can come in and worship a God that we've already surrendered to, and sometimes daily have to surrender to. I think that's very biblical, that we have to pick up our cross, which is a whole idea of surrender. Daily pick up our cross, surrender to this God, and we've experienced him. Therefore, we're able to come together and worship him in a corporate setting and then welcome people to join us in that experience.
Yep.
And it's not easy, because I'm going to guess that there's a lot of people that when they want to experience this, right, they come in, they're going to like, okay, I've heard these guys talk about this, but they're sitting with one cheek on the seat and one cheek out the door, right?
Right.
I'm talking about cheeks here. I'm not talking about
I'm following
cheek.
you.
I don't know.
right, but and sometimes it just takes some time because you're watching other people, which you don't trust.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Right? You don't trust other people in this situation. So and you're just kind of waiting on God to do something through these people that are around you. But ultimately it becomes kind of on you to just open yourself up. And sometimes I think it's just like, the more I talk with people and the more I relate to my own story, it's not even that big of an opening.
It's not. It's like you crack the window because it's really steamy in like the bathroom. And all of a sudden, all the steam just goes.
God's just like,
Yeah.
give me a crack. Just give me
a little
bit.
bit. Well, that's like I had said, I had never hit my knees before. That was something I had never done. Like I had talked to God. I had prayed, how I thought, what I thought prayer was. I don't want to say it was fake, but it wasn't a full surrender. It wasn't giving myself fully to him and trusting him.
Mm-hmm.
For years, I just thought I was unworthy of his love. And then it hit me. One thing that he had spoken to me once in one of our conversations is that I'm a beautiful disaster. And I thought, like, what does that even mean? Beautiful disaster. Like, and it's my life might be a mess, but beauty can come out of that. And that's like my biggest thing now is I want other people to know that and feel that, because when you've been through trauma or you've had a rough life or whatever, if you've had a great life and you just don't know who God is, like what's the song Graves into Gardens, Matt?
Yeah.
I love that song because that, like, he is literally the only one who can pull you out of that and use your pain and your trauma and your hurts and your habits, whatever it is, for his purpose. So that's where I'm at.
So there's somebody watching today that's hearing this story. They've had trauma in their past. They've had abuse in their past. They're struggling with self-worth. They're struggling with, life in general. What do you say to them today? If somebody was like, what do I do today? What would you suggest to somebody who's watching today that might be sitting here going, I'm just at the end of my rope. There's just nothing left in the tank.
Number one, I would say that God loves you right where you're at. Right where you're at. Number two, I would say get involved in a community of people. I have a huge family. I have 7 siblings. I have a huge family. I had no idea how much I needed a church community until I had one. So get involved with a community of people that are going to pray for you, love on you, walk through those good times and those bad times with you.
And are probably just as messy.
And 100%.
As you.
100%. And just surrender, talk to him. For years I thought that like when I talked to God, I had to like basically pray out of the Bible. Like I had to speak in, what is it, King James language. And that, no, just talk to him fully, how you are, how you're feeling. It's okay to yell at him.
Mm-hmm.
He can take it. But that you're loved and you are worth so much. And yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. And if you're watching right now, and I don't know where you're at, what you're doing, but I would say reach out to us.
Yeah.
Reach out to Shannon. If there was anybody that's easy to talk to, that loves to talk to people, and I will tell you this, that God speaks through her in many ways, many forms, but particularly in the one-on-one situations, reach out to us. Don't let another day go by.
Absolutely.
Where that hurt doesn't have to be there, you know, and the pain doesn't have to be there. The loneliness doesn't have to be there.
The loneliness.
Yeah.
Don't do it alone. I just I recently met someone, and she's become a great friend, but very broken. And the very first thing I shared with her was something Michelle Batts, love Michelle Batts. If nobody knows who that is, she works with Corey's Project. Yep. But she turned her pain into purpose. And when I was talking to her about it, you know, she was telling me the story. She said the number one thing that she tells people to do that are suffering and in pain is serve. Just start serving, because that pain is going to get lifted by you serving others. And she is so right with that. And so I had shared this with this woman, and this is someone that couldn't get out of bed for months, and she's been serving and living and loving it.
Yeah.
And it's just
Isn't
incredible.
that amazing?
It's
Isn't that incredible how that works?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's exactly what happened with me. So it's fun.
So your story is amazing. Your story of God changing your life, actually using your son. And I think that's the cool part of this as you look back, is that God was working in your life well before you were allowing God to work in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
you were keeping God at arm's length for a long time, even using your son to kind of get your, I was going to say something that was not very pastoral, life together.
Wow, big surprise.
I mean, it's true.
Shannon, get your together.
Get it together. Yeah.
But God was obviously working in your life, and then finally there was this point, right? You're on your knees. God speaks to you. That's one of those awesome turnaround stories of repentance and blessing and salvation and all those cool things that we talk about. But what led you, to just, well, let me back up, because I'm not saying this very well. I'm trying to get you into the doors of the Point Church.
Oh, okay.
What got you here?
My husband.
Your husband.
My husband did, which is crazy to me.
Hunka burning love, Kevin Senior.
Hunka. He is hot.
He is very.
Don't check out.
He's
my
a very
husband.
hot guy.
I don't even want you to think bad of me for saying that, but I think
he's good.
He is a good-looking guy.
He's a very good-looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy. He did. I was at this church and got baptized, and he had come with me a couple times. It just wasn't his thing. And then I had to get a job, which was really dumb. Whatever. I had to get a job. I'm an adult. And so I had to get a job, and I was waitressing, and Sundays were mandatory. And it was one Sunday I was at work, and I would always call in the morning, make sure he was up with the kids, and he wasn't answering the phone, and I was in straight panic. I'm like, he is sleeping, and the kids are just running all over the place, trashing my house. Well, then he finally answered, and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I just got home from church. And I was like, what? What happened? Did someone die? And he was like,
Somebody get married? What the heck?
He's like, no, I went to church. The Levins had invited him and the kids to come with him, and he decided to go. And he was just so excited about it. My husband, hunk that he is, he's got tattoos all over. He's a big guy. He looks mean, but he's not. And, I mean, some, depends on the day.
He's not me.
But yeah, and he was welcomed with open arms. People walked up to him. They talked to him. we welcome the unchurched to become fully devoted followers. And that is exactly what happened in our lives. And so I quit my job as a waitress. And I started coming to church with my husband and my children, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Dove right in. I tried to get out of everything. Your wife, you can't.
Shouldn't let anybody off the hook. I'm just saying.
No. But it was great because still at that time, I was what I'll call, I was new to all of this. And I'll never forget talking to her in the auditorium, and I'm like, but I've done this. I'm still questioning my worth. And the whole time she just stood there and she's like, doesn't matter. He still loves you. Doesn't matter. He still loves you.
I can hear her saying it too.
And I'm like, come on, lady, like give me
you gotta give me something.
You gotta give me something. And she wouldn't. She was like, he loves you right where you're at. Keep allowing him to do that. And I was like, okay. And then she was like, do you want to be on hospitality? And I was like, I hate people. What are you talking about? But I did it. And actually, here we are 12 years later. I'm still hospitality and I love it. Don't tell God what you can do and what you can't do. Because I literally did not like people.
Yeah.
12 years ago. Wasn't my thing.
So you could have been a greeter at Walmart.
Correct.
Or on the hospitality team at the Point Church.
Correct. I will say in the beginning, it was lots of really fake, hard smiles because I just was not a smiley, talkative person. I was very private and personal, and people just wasn't my thing. So it was a lot of fake smiles, but the more fake smiles that I did, the more it just started to naturally not just come, but I wanted. I wanted it. I looked forward to it. So that's what got us here. I just said yes.
You said yes.
I just said yes.
Kevin said yes.
Kevin said yes.
Yeah. So you guys were coming here with your family for how long before you actually? When did you come on staff?
About almost 6 years.
6 years ago. Yeah.
Getting old.
Yeah. I remember. I will remember this. I don't know if you know this story. I don't know if I've ever told you this story.
Oh, this is gonna be fun because I don't know if I've ever told you mine. Go.
The hospitality meeting. Do you remember a hospitality meeting that happened in what we call our student community room? Probably you don't remember.
I do remember because that was.
But there was a lot of people in there. That was a big team.
First meeting I led.
Yeah.
Ever.
And I came home from that meeting. And I knew you, right? Kind of knew you, but when you led that meeting, I went home and I told my wife, I'm like, this lady, this Shannon gal,
who is she?
She gets it.
And Mindy's like, but she's done so much stuff.
Yeah. And then she started telling me all your past, and I'm like, oh crap,
never mind,
forget it.
Ugh.
No, I remember watching that, and I remember you leading these people, and I remember you casting vision. I remember just sitting here going, "Wow, God's working through this lady," and I was just waiting for God to open up doors, and He did. And I remember having a little conversation with you about coming on staff.
So, do you remember trying to get me to have that conversation with you?
No.
Okay, because that's what I remember. So I walked into the church doors and you were at the Welcome Center at the time. And you were like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh.
Hey, you.
I'm fired. What did I do?
That's the same thing I think every time he says that.
And yeah.
You.
And so
hey.
I was like, what are you going to talk to me about? Don't worry about it. You're like, don't just come and talk to me. I'm like, okay. I dodged you as much as I possibly could. And I was hiding back in AIM Kids.
That's great. I don't hide, though.
And you came up to me back there and you were like, excuse me, would you just come talk to me? It's nothing bad. And I was like, okay. But I felt like you were the principal calling me into the office. Like,
it's part of the downside of having the job that you have.
It is.
Like, I knew it wasn't.
It's amazing how many people want to come in and just have a conversation. You're just like, we thought we were in trouble.
I thought I was in trouble.
Yeah.
No, but I
Well,
mean,
what should I know?
Yeah.
Is there something? Should you be in trouble?
Should you be in trouble? No. it was awesome. And then when you offered me to be on staff here, I was like, what?
You can get paid to do this?
What? Like, I was just mind blown. Like, this is so cool and scary all at the same time. But yeah, no, fun stuff.
Yeah,
Fun
and,
stuff.
and to watch how God has worked through you over these years has just been fun. You know, you said 6 years. It seems, honestly, it seems longer, and I mean that in a compliment. I mean,
Okay.
because I've watched
you so long, Shannon.
No, because I've seen God do so many incredible things through you through this church and for His people, and so you think about all the different stories. You don't think about that happening just in like a 6 year period. You think, wow, it's a lot of stuff in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And so we love having you here.
I love being here. It's been really fun. Nothing I never like when I tell people what I do. I just went through this a few weekends ago. We saw family we have not seen in forever. And they were like, "So what do you do?" And so then I shared with them and they were like, "What?" You know, it's just really fun to watch.
All right,
people.
But you went to prison.
So I was talking with
But you did this and this.
you went to prison. You're perfect. Actually, that's almost like a prerequisite to come on staff here
Right.
anymore.
Oh crap! should probably get on that.
Right. But I was talking with the founding pastor of this church the other day, one and only Dennis Corley. Boy, he would be fun to bring in on a
Oh,
podcast.
Dennis Corley.
I
the
would
OG.
love that.
The
would
OG,
be really fun.
the original.
When it really comes down to it, I think it'd be great.
yeah.
Good one. I see what you did there. So I was talking with Dennis Corley the other day. I was like, I can get so sidetracked so easy. Especially this post-COVID fatigue.
Yeah.
It's actually a thing. I looked it up. I have post-COVID fatigue, and it has messed with my mind. I actually laid down on the couch midday yesterday, and the couch is spinning. I mean, it's just like, and I'm like, sitting
Everything's
here
off
going,
balance all the
there
time.
is something jacked up in my brain. It's crazy. So me trying to stay focused is one. Anyway, so
Okay.
Dennis Corley.
So Dennis Corley and I were talking, and I think we were talking about the fact that Doug is living out in Colorado, jerk, and
Right.
living his life there, still
Big
on
jerk.
staff. And so Dennis was like, so who's preaching now? I mean, when you want time off or when you're not able to, he's like, who's preaching? I says, well, we've got several people who are able. I said, but there's one person in particular that just rises to the top anymore. I'm like, they're my go-to person. He's like, who's that? I said, it's this lady by the name of Shannon Hein. I said, because when she speaks, people listen.
Absolutely.
God works through her to speak to people. And he's like, really? He says, yeah, I heard her one time. And he says, she does do a phenomenal job. And I would say there's a connection with us in that scenario. I'm not going to say that when I speak, people listen, but I will say this is that I was a very hesitant preacher.
Yeah.
Like very hesitant. And, didn't see my self-worth even in the ability to share God's word in that situation. And now that I'm doing it, I absolutely love it. And I would say you're going to have to pry the pulpit from my cold, dead hands.
Oh, that sounds like something similar to. Oh, never mind.
But and I say that in jest because it's not my pulpit, it's God's. But my point being is that God works through you in tremendous ways. Whether it's in working with the life groups because you do a phenomenal job there, but even in the setting where God is able to use you in front of a mass audience, if you will, God speaks through you. So it's fun to watch.
Honestly,
it's fun to watch.
I can say it has nothing to do with me because I would just be up there throwing up the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It's all him.
It's that whole surrender that we talked about before.
Yeah.
Preaching is all surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you
100%. Like this is your Your time, God.
I can't,
Just use
I
me.
can't tell you how many people, and I don't think this is a vast majority of people, but there's a lot of people who are just like, so you got up there and went, wung it today, they think that preaching is just kind of
Oh no, there's a
off the cuff and the amount
What
of
do you do, Tim? I don't know.
and the amount of
You only work on Sunday.
I can't believe I get paid
Yeah, I mean,
for working like 2 hours a
2
week.
hours a week. Yeah.
2 hours, not even. Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm only on the stage for what? 20 minutes?
Yeah, but how long?
You on stage 20 minutes?
Like,
That'd be
how
a
long does
miracle.
it take you? Right.
I can't say my name in 10 minutes or less.
45 minutes later. Oh man, Tim's still not hit that cue for the band to go up yet. Wonder if I missed it.
I
Nope.
will say
Just
every
getting
time I
on a
get
roll.
up to talk, people are like, "So is this going to be like a Tim hour and 15 or?"
Whatever.
No, since we were stuck in this room and we were filming everything on Thursdays and stuff, you've really got that time. Got your time like down to a T. It's sticking around that 40. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Whatever. Just whatever.
Shut up.
Well, I've been able to watch the crowd too. It's something that it comes with time.
Yes.
It comes with time, but you're able to kind of watch the crowd, right?
Yeah.
You can see like Sunday, I felt it. I was like, I got to bring this thing in. I got to bring this in for a landing because I could see the crowd. I had, we had this energy and people were paying attention and you could see that they were being drawn into what God was speaking to them. And then all of a sudden there was just like this point where you're like, okay,
Time to be done.
time to be done, And so you start to read how the room is reacting.
Yeah. That's
So if you
true.
want Tim off the stage sooner, just start disconnecting.
Just start yawning.
Start looking at the floor.
And he's gonna wrap it up real quick.
Either that or I'm going to just come out with some
No.
really terrible dad jokes.
Yep.
Bad dad jokes.
Oh goodness.
Try to draw you back in.
Oh goodness. It's do you guys know Pastor Dave Adams, right?
Pastor Dave Adam, one of my favorites.
I love him.
I've talked to him forever.
He is who baptized me. And he is who gave the funeral service for my cousin that passed away. And
But yeah, I love Dave Adams. He's
in
amazing.
my talks with him in the beginning, when I was first learning all about surrender and stuff, he said to me, God is going to do great things with you. I can see it in you. And I had no idea what that meant.
What he was talking about. Yeah.
What he was talking about. Like, I'm going to have a bunch of kids and tell them about Jesus, like what's going to happen. I did have a bunch of kids and they do know about Jesus, but just all about saying yes.
That's pretty
Let 'em
cool
take you
because,
away.
there's people that speak into your lives at different times, right? And sometimes you don't know what they were talking about until like later,
Oh,
2020 hindsight, or it may be even clear after the situation that you're just like, wow, they knew something, right?
Mhm.
God spoke through them to speak to me. I had a youth minister, excuse me. This is below I-80, so everybody down there in the Christian churches is youth minister.
They all got
You
them
can't use-
fancy titles.
You can't use pastor down there without getting in trouble. And I remember this. He grabbed me my senior year. He grabbed me by the shirt collar and he pulled me in close. Of course, I just got done doing something very, very stupid.
Not you. No way. I don't believe
And
it.
so he was kind of getting on me. But at the same time, he says, never give up on the direction that God's calling you. Because at that time, I was thinking about going into ministry. But yeah, God had to teach me so few things before that happened. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'll never forget that because it was almost like he knew that I was probably going to go through, whether he absolutely positively knew for sure. I don't think so, but I think that he was just listening to God speak into my life. And those are important words, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And have you ever experienced that where because I'm thinking of one person right now in my own mind where I met them, saw them, knew God was going to do great things with them and has. And so have you experienced that where you've like seen people and been like, they're going places?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could sit here and probably tell you 3 or 4 people just right off the top of my head.
Right.
Where I'm like, man, God is going to use that person in tremendous ways. I'm sitting across from one right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I remember seeing you in that room leading that group, and I'm like, God's going to do something great in this person's life, in your life.
Yeah.
And he is.
He is.
He's impacting other people through you in amazing ways.
I love it. It's fun stuff. My best friend always says that I make God cool. And I'm like, because he is cool.
God makes God cool.
God makes God cool. I'm like, he is cool. But yeah, it's fun stuff.
And God makes your life easy, right? I mean, your life is a piece of cake.
No,
You've
well,
got no
it's so
issues
funny
or
that
problems.
you just said that because that's where I was going to go with it. Is I still have all the same problems and issues as I did years ago. You know, the trauma's still
even
there.
more, maybe more complicated.
Yeah, I got
honestly,
my kids,
yeah.
and ministry is
Because
tough.
kids don't make life complicated at all.
Not at all.
Oh.
My wife's not currently texting me about that problem right
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I still have all the same junk. You know, I still have all the same trauma. I still have PTSD. I still struggle with depression. I still have everyday just stuff that floats into my life. My reaction to them are different now.
Yeah.
Because I know that I have a God that I can give it to, and he will give me peace. He will give me strength. I might have a bad day and I might cry, and that's okay. But he's going to get me through.
Yeah.
And he's going to use that. And he has. I never understood why I had to go through the things I did. And now I get it because it's laid out there for me. It took over 30 years for me to understand why did I have to be, why was I sexually abused as a child? But being able to work with other people that have been sexually abused and help them find the peace that they can get and overcoming that's why. Because I get it, what they're going through.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and you hate saying that. As a matter of fact, I don't even necessarily believe in that God purposefully puts you through things.
No.
However, there are things that God allows us to go through that he can use to affect other people.
Yeah.
Right? Affect us and affect other people.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, he had nothing to do with the evil that took place.
Yeah.
But the restoration, he does.
Right.
He has all of that.
Well, it goes back to that old saying. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but what do you get for following Jesus? Because people want to know, what do I get out of this? Right? What do I get out of this?
What do you get?
And I always say this: what do you get for following Jesus? You get Jesus. Yeah. And literally, what more do you need? When you stop and you consider what he promised, the promises that come from following Jesus, because there's not a whole lot of promises. Right? We focus on all these things that we want and we desire and everything else. But if you would just focus in on the promises that God gives, which is, you've already labeled them, the peace, the strength, his presence, his purpose, his provision, all these different things that are promised to us. When you understand that, yeah, you're going to go through life, and life is going to be difficult. Life is going to be hard. You're going to go through some of the same trials and suffering and complications and marriage and children and jobs and people and all these different things that are going to come in. But what do you get for following Jesus? You get Jesus in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's hard for life to happen to you.
Yeah.
When you've got Jesus walking with you.
Right.
Because like you said, reactionary, you change. Instead of you reacting to what life throws at you, the only person that can throw like any curveballs at you is Jesus.
Right.
He's the only one that catches you with the real curveballs. The rest of life is just like, well, I kind of expected this from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knew that was going to happen. Yeah. No, it's fun stuff. It is fun stuff to follow him and to live every single day with him. It is. It's fun.
I'm glad you're doing it here with us.
I am too. You guys are gret.
Yeah. Yes, we are. But
it's nice to get a break
for that.
from Tim.
Yeah.
It's nice to get a break from what?
Oh, it's all right, buddy. It's probably COVID, in your head.
Yeah, that's what just happened.
Yeah, let's not go back to that.
Ugh.
Because the COVID fog stinks too. If you haven't,
I've had it. I get it. I still have it. Unless I'm just like just foggy.
Yeah.
But I keep blaming my COVID.
Yeah, might as
for
well.
everything,
Might as well
'cause
put a
I'm
blame
like,
on COVID. Everybody
this
else is
is-
doing it.
I'm like 2 months out. I should be, you would think, fully recovered. I still don't have my smell. Like, it has to really stink.
Yeah, we had something burning in the auditorium Sunday morning, which was
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
So you smelled it?
I didn't.
Ah,
Everybody kept saying, "You smell that?" And I'm like,
nope.
Nope. Not at all.
"Don't have a clue." Place is going to burn to the ground. I'll be like, "Oh, now I smell it."
I no smell. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Shannon.
Hey, thank you.
This was fun.
This was fun.
We are glad that you guys were able to check us out at Casting Points. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And even hit that little, what is it, a bell?
Notification bell.
Notification bell. Make sure you hit that, though. Every time that we put something up on our YouTube channel, you will be able to receive that. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you again. Shannon, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. Bye, guys.